Finally, a motorcycle related video. I'm going to upgrade my brake pads today. These are the stock brake pads on the Interceptor 650. I'm going to upgrade to the EBC FA213V for the rear, and then the EBC FA209/2HH on the front. Now, these are going to be sintered brake pads as opposed to whatever is in here. The sintered pads are going to offer a lot more stopping power. If you've seen my video here, or whichever way side it is, my previous video where I was trying to slow down from about 70 miles per hour at a stoplight, it didn't really end too well. It took a long time to stop. Well, of course, I didn't really use engine braking and all, but purely based on the brake performance itself, I think there is a little room for upgrades. Obviously, these aren't the only brake pads that are compatible with these. This is just what I went with because I've seen a lot of videos and forum users talking about, how well these perform. So yeah. Plus, I'm not upgrading the caliper. I think the stock caliper is fine for 99% of the people, so I'm going to leave the stock calipers. Now, apart from the new brakes, here are the tools you need. You will need a 13mm socket head or socket. Now, the service manual calls for a 14mm, but 14 is a little too big, so go with the 13. Brake parts cleaner, whichever brand it's available to you. Also, you will need a torque wrench that's capable of 33 foot-pounds or 45 Newton meters. So there's that. Also, some Loctite, blue Loctite. And last but not least, you will need some sort of Allen key or like a punch to get the guide rod out. So starting with the front. First, what you want to do is you want to remove this ABS sensor cable. I mean, you don't have to, but it's just the best that you do to clear out some space. Should be pretty straightforward. You just kind of pop it out, remove the cable like so. All right, now that the cable's out of the way, the ABS cable's out of the way, what you want to do is remove these two bolts. Like I said earlier, this is two 13mm socket heads or bolts. Then you can probably just undo these by hand. Here we go. Here are our two bolts. Slight corrosion. Oh no, I think that's just dirtiness. I think that was the Loctite that was on it. Wasn't much Loctite. Anyway, these are the two bolts for the caliper. Now, the caliper should just slide out like so. Be careful not to scratch your rims. And here we have the caliper. After you remove the caliper, flip it to the bottom. This is where you will find the R pin. That's right here. That's retaining the guide rod. You can just push it out by hand. There you go. Don't lose it. Now, you want to take some sort of punch. For me, I will use a 1/8 inch Allen key. Now, if you have a punch or a tool designed specifically for this, that would be fantastic. However, I don't. So I'm going, oh shoot, I keep bonking the bike. Anyway, so here we go. From one side, the guide rod only comes out from one side. So there's the front. Might need some persuasion. Little tapping. Okay, might need a little more tapping. Here we are. Got a little out. So, whoop, you can remove it by hand. Be very careful not to lose it, and your brake pads will just fall out. like so. And here we are. Whoop. Where did that come from? Interesting. I think that came from down here. I'll clean it. I don't know where that came from. However, as you can see, these are genuine Brembo pads. Brembo. Right here, this one's a little better. Genuine Brembo pads. However, these are not sintered brakes. So the compound, the metal is a little softer, which provides, not as much stopping power. Now, this is the part where you take your brake cleaner. You want to clean the inside of your caliper. You see right here, there's a lot of brake dust right here. Clean the inside of your caliper, and also take a rag and clean your brake disc. You want to clean these to the best of your abilities. All right, you want to have a clean brake pad. You don't want a dirty brake pad. Now you want to clean the disc, because you want to install your brand new pads on a clean brake disc. Make sure you use the brake cleaner in an outside or in a well-ventilated area. Looks like this little piece right here just goes into there. Here's our new brake pads. These are the EBC FA209/2HH. They only go in one way, so it's impossible for you to mess this up. Now make sure this little notch at the end, it goes into the notch. So at the end, see, remember when I said it only goes in one way, it's impossible to mess this up? And I already messed it up. Make sure everything lines up and insert your guide rod like so. Now, you will need the punch again to persuade it in, or tap it in like that. Now make sure you see the little hole for the R pin. If you don't, then you would have to punch it in a little more. Make sure the guide rod can spin freely. Now that that's done, these new pads will be a little thicker than your old pads, so you might need a screwdriver to compress your pistons. All right, this should be enough. Awesome. Brake slides on. Now what you want to do is you take your blue Loctite, and your bolts, should probably clean them. Apply some Loctite. I don't know how to apply Loctite. Please don't judge me. I think that's how you do it. Now, thread the bolts on by hand first. Make sure you don't cross-thread them. That's why you start by hand, both at the same time. All right, now that's on. I like to install this first. Install your clips. Don't forget to clip it back onto your brake line. Now, torque these two bolts to 33 foot-pounds or 45 Newton meters. There we go. Now the front is complete. Now moving on to the rear disc. This one is much easier, even easier than the front. All you have to do is to take out this R pin. Here we go. Retain this, don't lose it. You want to take your punch from the right side, I'm going to take out the guide rod. You know, I would recommend draping something like a towel or something over your exhaust so you don't damage it accidentally. Whoop, don't hit it too hard. Your brakes will come flying out. Here we are. You can rotate the wheel to give you more clearance. Retain your guide rod. Do not lose that. And here are our rear pads. Now, they look a little different. As you can see, they are much smaller, obviously. Also, they have these metal clips on the back. We shall remove them and retain them to transfer onto our new brake pads. Take your new brakes. Again, these are the EBC FA213V. You want to install the brackets. They should just clip on very easily, like so. Kind of slide them to line it up with the hole. There's one, and there's our second one. So now is the great time to clean your rear brake disc. I like to spray some parts cleaner onto a paper towel or a shop rag, and I spin the wheel since I have it on the center stand. Remember to also clean the inside of the brake disc. Maybe the hub as well. Here we are. Here are our pads. They slide in like so. Now make sure they're in, all the way and seated correctly, because we're not taking the caliper off. We can't really see the alignment. I think that's okay. Now take our clean guide rod, insert it from the other end, rotate the wheel if you have to. You see, one of them already fell. Here we go. Pads slide in. Test it a little bit. And now take your punch from the other side and punch this in. Here we go. Here's the R pin going back in like so. Now, spin the wheel. Sounds okay. So now we're finished installing the new brake pads. What do you do with these old ones? Well, I would keep them for, emergencies. I don't think I'll ever use these again, but it's good to have an extra set of brakes. Now, the very last step is to take a short ride around the block, come back and check the alignment of the brake pads, especially the ones in the back where we couldn't really see how it's being installed. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's not that the factory brakes felt squishy. I wouldn't describe it as squishy. I would just describe these new ones as a bit more capable. Oh yeah, definitely a lot better than the old brakes. Here we go, I'm gonna try this again. Oh yeah, I like it. Alright, so what do I think about these new brakes? I like them. I think I should have upgraded them earlier. I don't know why it took me 2 years to upgrade these brakes, but I think this should be one of the first upgrades that you put onto your new Interceptor or GT, Continental GT, I think it's a must, because the factory brakes, they're good. You know, they're Brembo brakes, they're good, but these ones offer just so much more stopping power. So in conclusion, should you upgrade your brake pads? Personally, I think you absolutely should. It should be one of the first upgrades that you do to your brand new Continental GT or Interceptor 650. I don't know why I waited 2 years to do this, but here we are. Now, these brake pads are, I want to say they're pretty affordable. They're $40 each, almost. I got them on Amazon. $40 each again, and yeah, I think they're great. You don't have to replace your whole caliper. I think that's a little excessive. The stock calipers are great. It's just that the stock pads are a little soft, and the new pads just offers more bite and more stopping power, which equals more confidence when you're riding. Now, I hope this video helped. If you have any questions or recommendations, or you need help with anything, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next time.